Okay, welcome to Agent U. This is our summer episode, and I'm sitting next to Casey Pepe. He is with Stalwart Insurance, and I will tell you, I've known Casey probably, well, we're
Oof.
going on 10 years
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
100%.
And full disclosure, I work with him with my own personal insurance too. But yeah, he's got a lot of great information. And I think this is something where, you want to make sure as a realtor, you are working with some people that you trust and and you know that is going to bring some solid intelligence and info to the table. So if you've ever had a deal fall apart at the finish line because of maybe an insurance issue, today's episode is something that you want to listen to. So I've introduced Casey, and I think we're kind of ready to get started.
All right, let's do
Okay.
it.
All right, cool. So give us the quick version. How did you end up in insurance, and what does Stalwart Insurance actually do?
Well, I ended up in insurance. It's a kind of a roundabout story. So when I graduated college back in 2008, I went to a job fair at the Civic Arena. Uh, Throwback. But I had gotten into a job selling life insurance and fire insurance in some of the rougher neighborhoods of Pittsburgh. So that's originally how I got into insurance and got my licenses. And I did that for about 2 years. And then I veered off into another sales role in between that. But then I landed home here at Stalwart Insurance probably about 15 years ago now.
Great. Okay, that's a while.
And insurance was always something that I believed in. You get your bond with insurance. Like that first time that I had to take a death benefit check to one of my clients, that's when it really hits home what insurance does for individuals.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a pretty a solid moment in someone's life when you have to deal with that sort of circumstance. Okay. So I guess, working with a lot of real estate transactions, what do you love most about that side of your business?
I think just getting to meet people and being able to help their clients and building that trustworthy relationship with both the realtor and their clients, because the realtor's working hands-on with the client right up front by either helping them sell or buy or get another house or an investment property, so on and so forth. But to be able to create that trust between myself and the realtor that they feel comfortable in referring me to help their clients out with their transaction, I think that's one of the best things. And then being able to help that client, and then that client goes and says, "Hey, you need to call my guy Casey." I get a lot of referrals from that too. So being able to create that bond with people, I think that's one of the most important aspects of working in a real estate transaction.
Okay, cool. If you could list something that really sets you apart from going with a big box insurance website type company, what would that
I
be?
think it's that close to home feel. You can call me right on my cell phone. And big box, they're usually just pushing maybe one product out. They're not really taking the time to get to know the client, to see what their needs or their wants are, or where they're comfortable with their coverages, because there's so many different. They're called endorsements that you can add on the homeowners insurance policy, and there's so many different levels of coverage. You really got to go through that with the client to see what makes them feel comfortable and what their needs are in their insurance, so they feel comfortable going through the transaction as well to make sure they're adequately protected.
Gotcha. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess let's get into it. Why should a realtor care who their buyer chooses for homeowners insurance? And isn't that kind of not in their lane, really? But kind of talk to that.
Yeah, so you want someone that you can trust, just for the aspect that, yeah, anybody could put out a cheaper insurance policy. But if it comes time for a claim and there's not that coverage available to them, it could almost make the realtor not look as good because they referred somebody that didn't go through that initial conversation of needs and wants and what type of coverages that they're looking for. Everybody's situation's different. Everybody can just buy a house, but everybody's coverage needs or wants are different. So I think it's really important to go through that aspect of that fact finding.
Okay.
And in turn, when you have a client's trust, that makes that gives good trust to the realtor, and it's a big happy circle.
I love love that. Okay. Can you walk us through how insurance can actually affect a closing, and has it ever derailed or delayed a deal?
Oh, sure, absolutely. It could go from anything from the insurance premium being too high that you run into a DTI issue for funding things on the mortgage side of things, for getting the clear to close. But it also comes from certain companies, or there may be certain agents out there that don't take the time to get the necessary documents over, because sometimes in a closing transaction you may need to change the effective date or change something on the deck page 3 or 4 times, and there's places that I've experienced out there that they don't. It could take them 3 days when the mortgage company or the realtor may need it in 45 minutes. Because the deal might be closing in an hour, and like we got 20 minutes to get this fixed. So I think our sense of urgency and knowing how it can affect the closing. I think that's one thing that sets us apart as well, because we put the 4-step forward to be able to get through to make sure our clients are closing on time.
That's great. And that urgency is, I see that in the background with lending, and it's a thing. It's a factor. Sometimes things do happen right up on closing day.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Right up to 15 minutes before the people are sitting down at the closing table. Yeah.
It poses a stressful moment. So that's awesome that you have that flexibility. I guess, what's the most common insurance surprise or surprises that pop up right before a closing? Things that realtors should maybe have on their radar.
Flood insurance is a big one. Sometimes flood insurance doesn't come up till like the maybe a couple days before, which flood insurance, the premiums can be kind of heavy on those sometimes. So that's one thing that the realtor partners that I work with, I'm like, hey, just call us. If there's a creek or a stream or a river close, just give us a call. We're more than happy to give a flood determination to make sure that doesn't pop up at the end. I'd say that, or not having the correct mortgagee information or something weird on the deck page, that would probably be the 3 things that usually create a little bit of turmoil very close to the closing that may delay it.
Gotcha. Is it crick or is it creek?
I am from Western Pennsylvania,
know,
so.
When is the right time in the home buying process for a buyer to start shopping for insurance, and what happens if they wait too long?
Well, I think as soon as you put the offer in or you start getting the paperwork drafted, I think you should definitely start the process then. Waiting can delay the whole process, because you never know, like the particular buyer, they may have a claim, or there may be something weird with the house that they're looking to purchase, like there may be existing damage on that, and all that can throw a red flag to an insurance carrier whenever you're trying to get the policy into effect. I've seen it happen, unfortunately.
Gotcha. You have actual experiences when that's happened? Can you give us an example of one of those?
Yeah. So, let's say the prior owner of a house, they would have like a house fire or a major water issue. Those claims pop up on the back end. So like I can see it, the person selling the house, like you can see that claim. And sometimes the underwriter at the insurance company that I'm trying to put the house with, they want to know what happened, has it been fixed, and what steps were taken to fix it. So sometimes there needs to be pictures or different inspections provided. It's usually on a case-by-case basis, but it does happen. It doesn't happen a lot, but it's definitely a problem that you can see out there.
Yeah, for sure. There's all sorts of things that I could envision that would prompt something like that.
100%.
Okay. Okay, so shifting a little bit, what are the basics that realtors should understand about homeowners insurance? Not so they can explain it, but so that they know when something maybe feels off.
Yeah, the existing damage, definitely if you see any holes in the ceiling, that's a big red flag. Definitely now, within the last 5 years, I think everybody watching this the issues with roofs. If you see that the roof is old, or it's curling, or there's missing shingles, or it's dirty. That's definitely a big thing, probably within the last 5 or 6 years in the insurance industry that we have been going through. That's just the technology out there. A lot of these carriers, they have satellites that are able to take pictures of the roof within 45 days of each other. So they can give you a roof score right off the top. So if you have a buyer or a seller, depending what it is, definitely want to have that conversation about the age of the roof. So you could use that as part of the negotiation or making the house more marketable to sell.
From personal experience, I guess, does solar play into that at all?
It can. They'll want to see how it's attached, but they're also going to want to see the roofing material underneath of it. Because essentially when they're putting those panels up there, a lot of them, you're literally drilling a hole in the roof and then attaching it to the top. So it does play something, because there is, depending on the carrier, there are certain coverages that you want to add on with the solar panels up there to make sure that you're actually covered on top of that.
We might need to talk about that. All right. So what are property types or locations that tend to be tricky to insure? Things like older homes or flood zones, pools, certain types of roofs.
Yeah, definitely flood zones can be tricky, because if you're buying a house and you're going to have any type of loan or lien attached to that house, the bank or the mortgage company is going to want to see flood insurance on that. And around Pittsburgh, flood insurance premiums, I've seen them as low as $300, but also we've seen them as high as $5,000. So it all depends on the flood determination. Obviously, older homes can be tricky too, because older homes, you may be only buying this older home for $100,000, but the replacement cost on it is about $500,000. So there's different things that you want to talk through with the clients on that. So and pools are usually pretty easy, as long as they're fenced. Which in 98% of the pools that you see around here are usually fenced. And then you just have to know your carriers. Myself being a broker, I have access to about 15 different carriers. So you have to know which ones will take a pool with a diving board or a slide, but they're all going to want to see them fenced with that lock gate on there. So that's definitely something to look at there.
Gotcha. Okay. So what's the difference between a buyer who got coverage through a broker like you versus someone who maybe went straight to online? Does that matter at the closing?
I wouldn't say it necessarily matters, but you can see the difference in the policy types. You may not see those important endorsements on there, such as replacement cost on your personal contents, water and sewage backup for water backing up into your basement, your underground utility line coverage. Those are all things that I guess you could consider those a la carte. That when you're looking online that aren't involved. And it's also, you're cutting out that part of that important fact finding information to see what coverages are important to the client as well on that. Okay. Anybody could go online and get a quote, sure, but it may be lacking those particular
special
coverages.
Care pieces.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess kind of shifting again as we kind of not necessarily wrap up, but close to wrapping up. From the realtor's perspective, how do they actually introduce you to a client without feeling awkward or like they're pushing something?
That's all up to them. I have some realtors that introduce via text message. So there's a 3-way text message going on. I have some realtors that reach out to me and say, hey, I gave my client your name. Can you give them a ring or give them a call? Via email, really however the realtor wants to make that introduction and whatever makes them feel comfortable as well. Okay. So it's always nice to have that warm lead going in to talk to a client.
Right. Cool. I think that's nice to know that you're able to be accessible in multiple different ways, whether that person is wanting to text you or give you a call the old school way. You're willing to.
Absolutely. And it makes the client feel more comfortable too, especially having a warm introduction, which this is also stem from, the difference from getting it online or having an agent. Let's say you have the claim. you don't have someone to call to consult on that.
Yeah.
You know, so being able to have someone that you know their voice, that you can call them right on their cell phone. I mean, I'll take phone calls at night, on the weekends, evenings. I mean, it's a never-ending thing.
I mean,
So
that might be a special case, but I know I've texted you at off hours like,
and
oh no.
and that's completely fine. I'd rather my clients reach out to me so they feel comfortable,
Yeah.
especially when they have like a loss or something
Sure.
happening.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Having that easy to connect is really
instead of getting stuck on hold.
Yeah. What does a good referral relationship between a realtor and an insurance broker look like in practice? And should realtors expect, what should realtors expect from a partner like yourself?
You know, just trusting that I'm going to take care of take care of their clients. You know, I write a policy like I'm writing it for one of my family members. You know, like my mother, my aunt, one of my best friends. So I'm not going to just do a policy just to get the deal closed. You know, because anybody could write a policy for cheap, but good coverage isn't cheap, and cheap coverage isn't good sometimes. So you need to be able to. I think the biggest thing between a realtor and insurance agent is to trust that I'm going to take care of their clients, to make sure that they're adequately protected, because the realtor's also putting their reputation on the line when they refer somebody over as well.
Great.
Because if they refer their client to me and I don't take care of them, that's going to kind of make them look bad too.
Sure. That gums up the whole system.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So beyond protecting the deal, how does having that trusted partner, like a great insurance person, like yourself, actually elevate the realtor's brand with their clients?
I think it elevates the brands because it allows them to be able to service more clients because they know the insurance aspect's taken care of. Say, hey, call Casey or call whoever they may be working with, if it's necessarily not me, but you need to be able to have that trusting relationship so they can take that off of their plate, so they can focus on that client and getting, you know, the inspections and everything else that involves with coming through the home buying process or the home selling process. You know, I think it takes that worry off their plate to be able to deal with that, to also know that their client's in good hands, but also that they can focus on other things for that client too.
Okay, that's great. That's helpful. So I guess if a realtor is listening right now and they don't have a go-to insurance person yet, what's your one piece of advice for finding the right fit?
I think having a good conversation, a good rapport back and forth, you know, whether you know, you got to be able to trust the person you're referring your clients to 100%. So I think being able to have that good back and forth conversation and an open dialogue and an open conversation, being like, hey, like, you know, this client needs this or they're worried about this. I think being able to take that information and give it to, you know, your trusted insurance partner, I think you need to be able to have that open line of communication, whether it's phone calls or text messaging, but also the person that you choose to work with, they have to make themselves available to you as well.
Gotcha. Open communication.
Yeah.
Always key.
100%.
So I know you and I have both mentioned Pittsburgh a couple times, but I know you serve other areas
Mm-hmm.
regionally. Where can people work with you?
Well, we work in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama. So we have a lot of places that we can work. You know, we have our team based out of here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but we also have a team based out of Barbersville, West Virginia, to service our southern clients. But we service a lot.
Great. Do you go into Florida?
We do. Florida's a little tricky.
I know.
We do go into Florida.
Okay. All right. Just curious about that. And are you in Texas?
We are in Texas.
Okay,
Yes.
Cool. All right. Awesome. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can reach me on my cell phone, my email. Maybe you'll put something on my contact out there.
We can totally do that. We can totally do that.
We also have a website that you can request quotes on there that come directly to our email. So I mean, we're very available and very happy to help.
Cool. And what is your website?
It's www.stalwartinsurance.com.
Perfect. All right, everybody. This was Agent U with Casey Pepe, and I hope you found some informational knowledge to be gained from why you should have a go-to insurance person. Things that I pulled from this conversation are you've got to trust the person you're talking to. Having access to that person is also really useful. And I know Casey's not the only person at Stalwart Insurance. If you're dealing with any of the others involved with that organization, I know they're just as able to be accessed. So this is Cara. I am signing off for this episode with Casey for Agent U.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.